Welcome everybody to this edition of the Other 99. I'm Carson Perry, and today we'll be looking at a deck tech for Adun Oakenshield. This deck is lovingly nicknamed Jund, and it really does earn its namesake. The friend that built it, Adam Lopez, was a huge fan of Jund when it was in Standard, and so having a commander deck equally overpowered and irritating seemed to suit him. Let's go ahead and take a look at the general. Adun Oakenshield is a 1/2 human knight for a black, red, and a green, and you can pay black, red, and a green and tap him to return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. As you can see, Adun is a big source of recursion, and that will be the major theme of this deck. Now, let's take a look at the other 99. This deck runs 36 total lands, of which we have 6 mountains, 9 forests, and 6 swamps. The deck also runs the host of shock lands, just because dual lands are incredibly expensive. It also runs each of the filter lands in its colors, which comes in handy in 3-color decks. The cycling lands are also included, and go hand in hand with Life from the Loam. Molten Slag Heap and Fungal Reaches help out our combos, which we will discuss here in a minute. A Verdant Catacomb searches up any of our shock lands for us. Daragaz's Caldera is an excellent mana fixer that allows us to bounce lands like Bojuka Bog for continuous graveyard hate. Volrath's Stronghold fits perfectly with the theme of the deck and allows for ridiculous reuse of creatures. The creatures are the meat of this deck. Nothing is possible without having good creatures to turn sideways. I've said it before and I will say it again. If you play green in Commander, you should probably play Eternal Witness. Acidic Slime is always useful and becomes a pretty good blocker after he gets rid of a pesky permanent. With all the recursion in this deck, Corpse Connoisseur is like a tutor staple to a 3/3 body that can be unearthed. Nature's Lore in a body, Yavimaya Druid is a useful mana ramper. Speaking of ramp, if you saw the last edition of the Other 99, you can see why Oracle of Moldiah is excellent, even in a deck that isn't as committed to getting lands on the field. Dimir Houseguard is used for Transmute, pulling all the pieces together for some very mean combos. Recursion is the name of the game for this deck, and Loaming Shaman does a good job of that and wrecking someone's graveyard. No need to use Regrowth on a sorcery when you can just play Anarchist. Get a body and a sorcery in one card. When playing this deck, nothing will stay dead. Even exiled creatures can come back with the help of Rift Sweeper. This deck has a sub-theme of non-basic land hate. Magus of the Moon is that at its finest. Commander is an amazing format, but sometimes it's sad when you can't find a card that is similar to or the same as another card in your deck. Fauna Shaman is literally Survival of the Fittest number 2, and as you can see from this deck, putting creatures in your graveyard is no worse than having them in your hand. Anger. Seems like pitching this guy to Fauna Shaman could be pretty okay. Genesis is another card that seems good to pitch to Fauna Shaman, as giving your entire graveyard a way to come back seems pretty fantastic. Entombing something huge and cheating it in with Phyrexian Delver is a good play here. Squee Goblin Nabob is one of my personal favorite commander cards, just because he is tons of fun, but a pretty sweet combo with Squee comes in the form of Survival of the Fittest or Fauna Shaman and Tortured Existence. As I've been saying, recursion is how this deck makes the big bucks. This is not a guy you would see typically in your average commander deck, but with this, Anger, and Kiki Jiki in the graveyard, Necrotic Ooze becomes a horrible infinite damage combo machine. Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker. Look at all these enter the battlefield effects. Now look at Kiki Jiki. I'm sure you get the point. Necrotic Ooze is combo piece extraordinaire. Putting Kiki Jiki and Mog Fanatic in the graveyard is made easy with Survival of the Fittest and Fauna Shaman, making for a very mean and ruthless infinite damage combo. Steel Hellkite patches up holes in your color pie and can clear the board for you or even swoop in and win the game for you, sometimes at the same time. Hellkite Charger is a solid flying dragon by himself, but with Bear Umbra it is almost always an automatic GG. As I mentioned in our last episode, Primeval Titan is truly amazing. He makes for some bonker turns and can search up our Volrath Stronghold. Palaka Worm is another great creature with an awesome enter the battlefield effect and an even cooler leave the battlefield effect. Remember Kijiki? Yeah. A huge reanimating bomb, Sheoldred has proven to be a very powerful Praetor in EDH. Another dude to blow up permanents, Terracodon gets the job done and serves as a pretty nifty beater as well. The big man himself, Avenger of Zendikar, is an enormously powerful green creature in EDH decks. If you're playing green in EDH, there are very few decks that you will be playing without this guy. Despite how exciting the creatures are in this deck, we need to fill in some gaps and jobs with non-creature spells. I'm going to be dividing these up into sorceries, instants, enchantments, and planeswalkers. First up for the sorceries, we have Regrowth, the classic recursion spell and obvious include in a deck that runs recursion as its theme. Woodland Guidance, another recursion spell. I'm sure you're getting used to seeing a lot of cards like these. Oh, and the untapping lands thing can be pretty cool sometimes. More recursion in Recollect, but its converted mana cost of 3 makes it transmutable with Dimir Houseguard and the like. Demonic and Diabolic Tutor are the reasons you play Black EDH. Just saying. Diabolic Intent is an excellent tutor and the cost of sacking a creature will be much more beneficial than harmful. Maelstrom Pulse is a powerful removal spell that can occasionally hit multiple permanents, such as multiple Phyrexian Arenas or some such. Damnation is a classic. Every EDH deck, even creature-heavy ones, need a Wrath effect. Violent Ultimatum. 3 Vindicate stapled together? Thanks bunches. This deck runs not one artifact, not even this channel's namesake Divining Top. Creeping Corrosion just screws everybody else up. Decimate is usually always a blowout for 4 mana and has proven to be quite an amazing removal spell. Ruination is the reason this deck runs so many basic lands. Wake of Destruction is capable of taking out anywhere from 1 to 3 people, hopefully not yourself. Volrath's Stronghold is a good enough reason to run Life from the Loam just because you want it on the field as a continuous recursion engine. Cultivate is good ramp, but would be awesome if it were on a dude. Yes, Wizards, spoil us by putting this on a creature. Thank you. Explosive Vegetation is a good ramp for the cost and really gets you moving into threats. Tooth and Nail is almost always an automatic include in EDH decks that have green. Don't get caught without one of these. Brain Spoil is decent removal, but more importantly it has a transmute for 5, grabbing you Anarchist, Phyrexian Delver, or some such. Praetor's Council is the ultimate recursion spell and has an unstoppable Reliquary Tower effect. I kinda like it. Buried Alive lets you dump dudes into your graveyard. That's a good thing for this deck. Dimir Machinations is a card that you probably won't be casting. You instead should be transmuting for 3. Time for some instants. Shattering Pulse deals with troublesome artifacts and deals with blue decks revolving around infinite combos created by artifacts. Shred Memory is 2 converted mana cost transmute and serves as pretty good graveyard hate in a jiffy. The Glamour, Blightsteel Colossus, Darksteel Colossus, Darksteel Forge, and stuff like that. Enough said. Vampiric Tutor. Instant speed tutoring is never bad, especially for this deck. Remember Vampiric Tutor? Yeah, Entomb is a second one. Noxious Revival. The important thing about this card is that it allows you to dodge graveyard hate effects that kill your combo, and it's free, which is pretty cool. On to our awesome enchantments. Tortured Existence is amazing with about any creature, especially Squee. Phyrexian Reclamation is similar to Tortured Existence, except it requires a small bit of life instead of a creature. Drawing cards is always good, and Phyrexian Arena is the best way to do that in this deck. Along with the non-basic land hate theme, Blood Moon is just slightly better than Magus of the Moon since it's a wee bit harder to remove. Destructive Flow, non-basic land hate, as I mentioned earlier. Bear Umbra combos with Hellkite Charger and is still pretty cool on other creatures. Greater Good isn't as good in this deck as it is in Azusa, but drawing cards in response to removal and sweepers seems pretty useful. Mana Reflection is pretty amazing. I mean, come on, doubling your mana isn't bad. It can't be. Survival of the Fittest is incredible in this deck and is the perfect card for this deck's graveyard combos. It is pretty hard to lose games with Aiden when this card is out. I mean, it's banned in Legacy for a good reason. Finally, the singular planeswalker in the deck is Liliana Vess. She is, at best, the most incredible graveyard recursion spell ever printed. And at worst, she's still a tutor. Adun Oakenshield is an extremely powerful combo deck with a good amount of consistency. Playing this deck requires a lot of concentration, foresight, and diplomacy, and is a total blast. Thanks to Adam Lopez for writing this deck tech, and thanks to you for watching this edition of The Other 99. Good luck building your own combo decks. See you next time.